Well, good afternoon, and thank you for joining me this afternoon for this repeat performance from the Wednesday concert, which didn't stream on Facebook. So that was a wonderful little piece called Festive Trumpet Tune by David German, and it's especially appropriate for this season of Eastertide, all these Sundays of celebrating the wonder of the resurrection. Now, that's the only non-sacred piece that I'm going to play. The rest of them are hymns from hundreds of years ago to a few that are more modern. So the next couple of pieces I'm going to play are On Eagle's Wings. This is by Michael Joncas, and I think it started in the Catholic Church, but has some wide appeal all across Christian denominations. It's a gorgeous piece, and it's arranged here by John Carter. And then the second piece I'm going to play is Just a Closer Walk with Thee. You might recognize it from Dixieland jazz bands. They like to play this tune. It's actually an American tune, and so it was set to this text. And this kind of jazz arrangement is arranged by Chuck Maronek. So I'll be playing a few of my favorite sacred tunes and arrangements. And so I'm curious, if you're on Facebook, you can comment. And if you have a favorite hymn or two, can you just comment on there? Later, I'll go back and read them. I'm curious what some of your favorites are. So without further ado, I'll play those next two pieces. Thanks. There, I'm running the iPad and video camera, and so sometimes I'm forgetting to change it. So if you couldn't see me last time, sorry about that. I think you can see me now. So again, if you're just tuning in, those were On Eagle's Wings, and then followed by Just a Closer Walk with Thee, this great American hymn tune. My friend was talking about she and her husband years ago went and saw I think it was Pete Fountain and his band playing in New Orleans, and she said they would play variation after variation of that, and she acted like it went on for about a half hour. So I wouldn't subject you to that. All right, so next I'm going to continue on with another actually American hymn tune, and it's set to the text, "Come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy praise." It's this just gorgeous set of lyrics, and it was written by Robert Robinson. I'm going to give you some background on some of these different hymns, and if you're interested to read about other hymns, you can get the book "Then Sings My Soul" by Robert Morgan. It's just a little extract, a few paragraphs on the author and the background of some of the most wonderful hymns ever written. So, Amazing Grace and on and on. So again, this one, "Come Thou Fount," was written by Robert Robinson, and after the death of his father, he was sent to London to learn a trade because his mother just could not control him at home. Well, as a very young man, instead, he turned to alcohol and the gang life. However, Robert had this profound encounter with Jesus Christ while attending a meeting held by one of the greatest preachers of the 18th century, George Whitefield. Several years later, Robert was a very transformed person. He was now a pastor of a church in Norfolk, England. And at the age of 23, he penned a hymn to go along with his sermon for Pentecost Sunday. As I said before, this text is usually set to a traditional American melody called Nettleton. And again, this setting is by Chuck Maronick, who did the setting for Just a Closer Walk. This coming Sunday is a special Sunday called Good Shepherd Sunday. And the psalm that we'll read is Psalm 23, and some of the other scriptures also deal with this Jesus, God as a shepherd. It's kind of this idea of guiding us. And so this next piece is just a gorgeous setting. It really probably falls into more of the American gospel scene than specifically a hymn. It was written by Dr. Joseph Gilmore, a minister, what he was trying to do was kind of give an exposition of Psalm 23. Which the psalm, he leadeth me beside still waters. So the chorus is based on that. But he wrote it during one of the darkest times of the Civil War. And he just kept thinking about this phrase, he leadeth me, he leadeth me. So really the whole hymn just comes out of that phrase as its base. And it doesn't necessarily follow the whole Psalm 23. After he wrote it, though, his wife sent it into a newspaper in Boston, and it was printed there and later set to music by William Bradbury. In the mid-1860s, Gilmore, he went to Rochester, New York, to preach at a church as a candidate for possibly coming there to be the minister. After entering the church, he picked up a hymnal to see what they were singing. And it was his very own hymn, He Leadeth Me. It was the first time he knew that it had been set to music, which is kind of a funny thing. Can't imagine that happening. But this setting is for organ. It's just a lovely little setting of it and utilizes some of the softer stops on the organ. And it's arranged by Jason Payne. Well, that was more of a modern tune called How Majestic Is Your Name by Michael W. Smith, and it was arranged by Heather Sorensen. I've always loved that arrangement. I think it was written in the 1980s, so definitely more modern than most of these, which were from the 1700s. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Our normal concert series will be on Wednesdays at noon throughout the month of May. So I hope you come back. We'll have a violinist, a vocalist, etc. So I hope you join us, and we'll be doing everything from sacred to some movie tunes and some Broadway show tunes as well. So it'll be a fun few concerts. So please tell your friends, and again, it will be streamed on Facebook and YouTube. So thanks again for joining me. I have one more piece. It's a setting by Jason Payne, again, who set the other organ piece, and it is "Rejoice, the Lord is King." It's this triumphant hymn by the great Charles Wesley, who wrote some of the most beloved hymns, like "Love Divine, All Love's Excelling," "And Can It Be," "Arise, My Soul, Arise," "Come Thou Long Expected Jesus." It was written during a very difficult time in his life. Literally, his life was being threatened. And so it's kind of this triumphant exclamation that's full of hope in the coming kingdom of Christ, as it kind of takes over the world through good and everything. So this is what Charles Wesley was getting at, and it's this lovely setting and a wonderful, wonderful tune as well. So thanks again for joining me, and also if you're on Facebook, please comment what your favorite hymn or two might be, and then join us back here at noon on Wednesday. Thanks.